Now, as for the assassination attempt, we know that the FBI is handling the investigation. And this morning, they have identified the shooter as Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old man from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Records showing that Thomas Matthew Crooks was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania. However, federal campaign finance reports also show that he gave $15 to a progressive political action committee on January 20th of 2021. That is the day before President Biden was sworn into office. Do want to talk more about the investigation here and how it's going to play out. Scott Duffy is a retired FBI agent joining us now live. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Good morning, Josh, and thank you very much for having me.
Of course. Well, first off, I do want to start from the beginning. Just explain to me what was going through your mind when you heard that gunshots had been fired at former President Trump during that rally, and then when you first saw the video of it kind of all playing out.
Josh, this is one of those moments that you remember exactly where you were when the information came out. So, I was just doing a little research. March 30th. 1981 was the last attempt that we had on a presidential life, right? That's a long time. That's 34 years ago. And so where was I? Vacationing with one of my children and in the car, and all of a sudden I get a text. And as I'm driving back to my residence, my wife texted me, and I could tell it was a very strong text, and my son is what's going on, and it was simple. Trump was shot in the neck, right? That's the information that was coming out. And so immediately scrambling to find some sort of news on the radio. And then, of course, like 20-year-olds and younger and so forth, getting social media. So my son is immediately trying all the information on social media. And he said, it sounds like it's real information, but not sure how bad it is. So that's very just stopping. I mean, it's like your heart stopped, and you're saying, is this possible? Is this real? Is this something that's made up? But it was just a flurry of just thoughts going through your head, and that's what I was thinking at the time that the news came out.
Yeah, I got a text from one of my coworkers, and the first thing I thought is, there's no way. It's just kind of a rumor that's circulating. And they said, no, turn on the TV. We just aired it live. So you kind of have to process it at first, even though I'm not there, you're not there. It still takes some time to process that someone has fired a gun several times at a former president who could potentially be the president again in a matter of months. Now, I do want to talk to you just about, your FBI expertise, because we do know that we saw the Secret Service jump into action. So tell me about the law enforcement response to something like this.
Yeah, so let's back up a little bit and think of these. This is not the first rally, and the rallies have been continuing throughout his initial campaign for his first presidency, right? And so these campaigns are nothing new. They are massive crowds, and the idea that now you have campaigning as a former president. So he has the Secret Service protection and all the other state and local and federal partners who are engaged in security. So like no other, it is a massive security detail. And so you can imagine in a rural section of Pennsylvania in Butler County, not far from Pittsburgh. So you are having to pull resources from the state police and county and whatever local jurisdictions. And you're dealing with thousands upon thousands who are entering into somewhat of a secure area. What I mean that is there is a perimeter set up. There are magnetometers and other types of security that somebody is coming through, and they are being checked for weapons and anything else that could be used as a weapon. So, for example, going to a sporting event, you can't take an umbrella, right? You can, and so many people will arrive at a sporting event thinking, oh, I just have a small umbrella, I'll be able to get through. And no, you're not able to get through. So, very much the security here is massive, and I can tell you, upon seeing the video where the initial shootings take place and watching the crowd, and then of course former President Trump grabbing his right ear, and then to see the sea of Secret Service jumping into action and doing what they've been training to do their whole careers.
What happens now at these rallies? And you kind of touched on this, but does it appear that these rallies will still continue as we are months away from the actual election? Will Biden still go and hold these rallies? And what will security look like? Because you have to imagine that it's going to be beefed up quite a bit if they do continue to hold these.
Yeah, so as you can imagine, there's already plenty of security, and then what does beefing up mean? I imagine the talks are taking place right now with regards to what do you do with regards to beefing up security? What is it that you're going to apply that wasn't already being used prior to this attempt assassination? Um, so that's going to be decided upon the individual political campaigns. Do we go forward with these type of rallies and allowing all these people to come in, and it's going to be it's going to be decided by each and every campaign. And I can't imagine, especially just being a few months out from election day, that either candidate is going to want to tamper down being out there and pressing the flesh with voters. So if the decision is made, yes, we're going forward, but this has to be put in place, that has to be put in place. First and foremost, you have to figure out what went wrong. Something went seriously wrong yesterday. And so what was that? What was that breach? And once you identify what was that breach, what is it that you can put in place to ensure that that cannot happen again?
And I do want to take you out to this live image we have over in Milwaukee. That is the 5-Serve Forum, where the Republican National Convention is expected to get underway tomorrow. Now, the RNC has come out since this all happened and said everything will go according to plan, but there will be increased security. So my question for you, how could this impact the RNC? Do you expect that you will see essentially security everywhere you go? Because I'm sure that was going to be the case regardless, but now somehow you have to, I guess, intensify that even further.
Yeah, this is a difficult situation in the sense that Secret Service always plans, always has a contingency plan, and is always anticipating that something could go wrong, and that someone who is in the crowd has a nefarious, a criminal intent, and is meaning to do harm, right? That is why Secret Service trains each and every day. They know what they're doing. They are looking for trouble before it happens. They are looking for that particular stare that doesn't look like somebody who belongs, somebody who is looking to do something of a criminal nature. So they have this excellent training, and they share that training with their counterparts throughout the world. With regards to the RNC and then, of course, the upcoming DNC, I imagine that it is being on a heightened awareness. Like, I'm even trying to think what could be done to beef up security. It may not be so much beefing up security, but having now the mindset that this is not something that could take place, but has taken place. And so thereby you are on the ready alert. For example, you as you have in the rallies, and then of course in an event where the RNC is going to be starting today, that you may have increased law enforcement with long guns being at the forefront and being very visible. I can only imagine, because this was, as we are learning, that this was a shooter, most likely outside the event. But from what I'm reading and seeing in early reports, not that far with a long gun, that you're going to have increased aerial protection. So whether it be drones, any other type of um, aerial protection, where it gives eyes and ears to law enforcement who are at the ready to deal with any type of sniper situation. Or, for example, you may now extend your perimeter. So if they had X amount of yards, that was their perimeter, and they realize there's a building or something else that's outside that perimeter that maybe they didn't give that good of attention to, that they are going to increase that perimeter um, to a point that, hey, we're not taking anything for granted, and that building or that building is going to be locked down, and perhaps put snipers on roofs. And so thereby, you're really going to just close down any potential threat from afar, from within.
And I do want to take you out to this live image here. This is over in Butler, Pennsylvania, where the shooting did happen. And this is actually a road a little bit ways away, but you can see there's still flashing lights, and the investigation is really just getting underway. I do want to get your take on this, though. Attendees have claimed they were trying to let the Secret Service and other law enforcement know of the gunman crawling around on a roof, but they say that no one was listening. I imagine there has to be some kind of full-fledged investigation into the response as well as of the act itself.
Yeah, as an amazing response that you saw yesterday, there's no doubt that there was a breach. And so the Secret Service, who is best at policing its own and trying to figure out what went wrong, that shot should have never gotten off. And so thereby, not pointing any fingers at anyone, but there was a breach. And so security failed in that regard. And so Secret Service is going to go back and do an intense investigation to determine everything that you had just said with regards to witnesses and bystanders saying, we saw something out of place. And so those witnesses are going to be interviewed. I can guarantee you that thousands and thousands of cell phones that are up and filming everything, that Secret Service and the FBI, for investigative reasons, and then of course to ensure what and how did this breach take place, so we can ensure internal protocols, etc., do not repeat, where there can be such a breach of security again. So all that is taking place, I guarantee, right now. And a witness may see something and then alert authorities. It would be interesting to see how long that was before. So, for example, the moment that a bystander, an attendee says, I see something and it looks out of place to me, is it possible that that is a Secret Service or some other law enforcement agency on top of a rooftop? And it's enough for the attendee to say, I'm going to alert authorities, right? If you see something, say something. And so thereby I'm going to alert authorities and see what they say. And so it'd be interesting to see just how that information trickled, who got that information, and did that information get communicated out and it just wasn't in time? Or was it something that somebody on the ground in law enforcement received that information and neglected to pass that information forward, just like an attendee did, coming out and communicating that to law enforcement? So all that is definitely going to play a part not only in the criminal investigation, but the internal protocols that Secret Service has in order to ensure nothing like this can happen again.
My last question for you here. What question or questions do you still have that you're hopeful will be answered?
So obviously the motive is very important, but the Secret Service receives threats each and every day against protectee, and many of these are mental health. I participated in several of these when working in the FBI, working with my counterparts in the Secret Service to go and vet these threats, and often that's what they are. They are threats that never mount to anything actionable. But there was a breach here, and it will be interesting for me. I have questions to say, how did this happen? And is it something that is done so many times and so well that all of a sudden, in this instance, um, a building that, from what we're learning, is not that far from the site, that if you have a particular gun, you can fire that weapon at your target. And so those questions I have as to why was this building not secure. We're talking about the city of Butler, in the county of Butler, but still somewhat of a rural area. And was it a manpower issue? Was it a timing issue? That those are some of the questions that come to my mind to figure out how this can be ensured it does not happen again.
And honestly, it could be a while before we get any of those answers. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but a lot of us are left with so many questions, including the motive for all of this. Scott Duffy, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this morning. Is there anything else that you want to add about any of this here before I let you go?
Just like the rest of the nation, and I would say the rest of the world, my heart and my prayers are with those who have suffered and who have died. Right? We are talking about people, regardless of your political affiliation. They are there to support their candidate. They are there to participate in the American dream, in the American way of democracy, and that somebody has lost their life as a result, and others have been injured for simply attending a rally. And so my heart and prayers go with those who are injured, and of course, those who have lost their life.
Definitely. It has been good to see President Biden and RFK Jr. both coming out in support of Trump very quickly and saying, pray for Trump and his family. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning and break it all down. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. Thank you, Josh.